I myself personally, I would be choosing Yanqing. Stop right there. This is going to be the most important decision you will be doing for the upcoming version 3.2 update, which is going to be pertaining to both the free Ruan Mei and Luocha, right? For free, as well as in tandem with the updates to the character warped optimization. This is extremely important. If you have seen the thumbnail of this video, you would have noticed that I specifically put up choose Yanqing, because I myself personally, I would be choosing Yanqing. Without further, why the hell would I say, because I've seen some of this ideas, right? There could be some potential ideas that, okay, in first glance, right, you're gonna remove Japar, you're gonna remove Yanqing, you're gonna remove, or like these units that you probably won't use because they are, as we know, probably not too good of a standard 5-star compared to units like Himiko, Brian, etc., right? But there is actually a far more important thing that you're gonna have to take note, which is going to be tied to how this shop works in the first place. So this thingy here, right, this Luocha and Ruan Mei selector, and who should you pick for this, is extremely dependent on your personal rosters. It is not a straightforward, okay, it's gonna be a Ruan Mei. It's a free and easy pick because everybody and their moms have Ruan Mei. Everybody and their moms play Super Rig. Fury is gonna be getting a rerun, so I'm gonna pick up Super Rig right now, right? It is not that straightforward because at the end of the day, this shop is permanent. This shop is permanent because of the golden companion spirit. And these things, like whether or not you choose Ruan Mei or choose Luocha, they are all gonna be working together, which will affect how this system will function for the remaining of HSR's career, right? So why do I say before you pick up Ruan Mei or Luocha or nobody, take a look at this tweet first. If you are deciding between a E0, E1, or maybe even E2, Ruan Mei, Luocha, or neither, this should be like a thought process, assuming that you want to get the units right now, right? Ruan Mei herself as a unit, she is, I would say, an extremely important unit for Super Rig, especially if you take out Harmony Trailblazer to become Mimi, which we know by now is completely busted, right? It is a ridiculously strong unit. She works with pretty much almost every single, if not every single version 3, version 2, version 1 DPS that plays crit. So Mimi is absolutely busted. So the moment you take away HMC, Ruan Mei, Fuke, and Gallagher or Lingsha is gonna be the foundation of pretty much every single Super Break team. So picking up Ruan Mei over here to complete your Super Break would be a good choice. So for example, if you started with version, let's just say 2.5 or 2.6, right? You started with Repa and then you missed out Ruan Mei. And then you picked up Fuke because you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna wait for a Ruan Mei rerun, and I already picked up Repa and Fuke, so I'm just gonna wait for that day to happen, and boom, now you have the opportunity to pick up this Ruan Mei. I think that would be a good choice because you have already. Oh my lord, roar! Thank you so much, Ray. Thank you so much, Ray. Yeah. So if you have really invested into your Super Rig team, and you have picked up your Repa and Fuke, and you're just missing up this Ruan Mei to complete Super Break, then I think it is gonna be a pretty decent one because you have already invested the strategies, right? So that is gonna be the best case scenario. Whether or not you want to get a E1 Ruan Mei, so assuming that you already pulled for a Ruan Mei back then, and you are playing Super Break. So this could be, if you have pulled for Ruan Mei, most likely you have started in like either Boot Hill or 5-5 or earlier, right? Because you have been there for the first banner or the reruns. Then this is gonna be dependent if you're gonna want to continuously lock in for Super Break. Because there's this thing called sunk cost fallacy. And at the end of the day, if you are determined to continuously invest, like especially vertical investments for Super Break, then E1 Ruan Mei is gonna be very nice, because from what we've seen through the various Super Break DPS and the mechanics, they have a lot of defense ignore built in, right? Iron Cavalry, your Field with Resolution, almost every single E1 break DPS has a built-in defense ignore. So if you can stack on your defense ignore to as close to 100% as possible, then this E1 Ruan Mei is going to be a very decent damage upgrade. But if you are not using it for your Super Break, if you're using it for, let's just say, DOT, which doesn't really have access to extremely high defense ignore, or if you're still using your Ruan Mei for, let's just say, Hyper Carry, or your Herta, or Agleia, because you didn't pull for like Babin or something, whatever, then this E1 Ruan Mei is not going to be that impactful because you can't stack on this defense scenario. So in that scenario, I wouldn't advise you guys to pick up E1 Ruan Mei, even though it is going to be a very nice damage application if you can upgrade it and stack on exponentially, right? Then E2 Ruan Mei, do not get this. It serves zero purpose, right? This E2 Ruan Mei data, it serves zero purpose. And the only reason why I have an E2 Ruan Mei on is because I got 2 Ruan Mei in a single tempo, right? That is the only reason why. This attack buff, it's only when dealing damage. It is not a stat increase. So even for your units like your Firefly and your Wrap Up, which technically scales with a little bit of attack, it changes nothing. It legit straight up changes nothing. So it serves zero purpose. It really, the only reason why this is good is like DOT. Yep, if you play DOT, I guess E2 Ruan Mei is not too bad. But then again, you have like your Babin. You could have been getting a E0 or even E1 Babin or even like E1 Tribi for a DOT. And this would be far more valuable than like, let's just say a E2 Ruan Mei for this 40% attack buff. And why if DOT scales with HP in the future, right? So generally speaking, this E2 Ruan Mei is definitely a no-go, right? It's stop right there. Do not get this E2 Ruan Mei. It serves zero purpose. And then that is going to be on whether or not should you be using this currency for Ruan Mei. For Luocha, okay, Luocha is quite interesting because we haven't seen or heard the light of day from this guy for like a very long time, right? It has always been Adventuring, it has always been like Lingsha Showcase, Gallagher is him, right? There's a period of time where there was like Fusion Huawei, but it has been a very long time since Luocha is going to be back on the field. And I don't think this is going to be a coincidence because from the way that we see how castorice kits work, right? She's going to be draining your team's HP. And from what we see in Pollux, he legit places your entire team at 1 HP. Preservation units like your Fu Xuan, Japart, and Aventry, they're cooked. Whereas for abundance units like Luocha, especially with Luocha's field that gives you this free heal whenever your team attacks, is gonna be, this is basically a little bit Besotted. Right, it's sort of like Gallagher's Besotted, as that the field is already up and it will be applied to your teammates for whoever that's gonna be attacking the enemy. So in this case, it is, I don't think it's a coincidence the Luocha is already up, and I would say he's gonna be a pretty decent sustain, especially if you intend to either fight Pollux, or if you're pulling for castorice, or you're pulling for Mighty, all these kind of like HP scaling DPS, which wants a lot of heals. Luocha is gonna be that guy. But the thing is, we are gonna be getting Hyacinth, which is going to be, from what we've seen from Grid Marketing, she is rumored, right? She's said to be a healer, to be a sustain, even though she's gonna be a remembrance unit, unless she's gonna pull up a Jiaoqiu, right? If she's gonna be a Jiaoqiu and she's gonna be like a debuffer, then womp, right? But from what we've seen is that this V3 Hyacinth is gonna be our V3 sustain. On top of that, we have Gallagher. And I don't really think I need to glaze Gallagher as much as Bro needs, because Bro is absolutely him. He has been one of, if not the best sustains, not even like 4-star, one of, if not the best sustains for a lot of different names. This is Beyond Break, right? Beyond Break, you can use it with D-Herda, you can use it, you can pretty much use this guy with anyone in their moms. Even if you don't even have a E6 Gallagher, right, it's completely fine, right? For example, my Bob, he's still running an E1 Gallagher, and he has been doing God's work. He has been doing more work than Bob's Bailu, right? So this guy is absolutely him, which is why the inherent value of a player thinking if you guys should be going for Luocha, it's gonna be lesser because of opportunity cost, right? Your competition with Hyacinth, your competition with a 4-star unit like Gallagher, it is gonna make his value seem a little bit less appealing, because if you were to get Luocha, that means that in the future when this shot updates, right, in the future when this shot has more and more 5-stars, you would have missed out on the opportunity to get them in the future, right? So I personally don't think Luocha himself is that worth it. And then his E1 and E2, if you guys even remember what his E1 and E2 is, I believe E1 is 20% attack buff, and then E2 is like a shield for some sort of excess healing. Oh my god, I can't remember. Oh my god, 20% attack buff. I'm dead, right? Okay, then this is gonna be, okay, if you're lower than 50%, increase by 30%, and then if it's higher, you get a shield. Which honestly, for both islands, it changes very little, if not nothing at all. At the end of the day, if you feel that all of these scenarios do not apply to you, right? You're not playing Rework. You don't need a sustain. Your Gallagher is doing the work, right? You already pull for like Lingsha, and you're gonna be preparing for Hyacinth, right? You're gonna be moving on to your version 3 DPS or your castorice. Then there really isn't a need to force yourself and think, okay, I need to get this Ruan Mei because it's a free Ruan Mei, right? Because it's not really just Ruan Mei, right? You're basically competing this with potential more units that will be permanently added to the shop. There's really just no rush for you to get this right now, especially if it doesn't give any sort of like a upgrade to your current roster in Honkai Star Rail, especially with like the whole power creep, HP inflation. It is more decisive than ever to make the right option, the right upgrade for your account, which is why you're watching this video right now. Which now brings us to the second and arguably even more important question. The update in the 50-50 system. How you get these golden companion spirits, which would be obtained when you get a E6. Wow, E6. So basically, free to players can go fuck them. Okay, it is not that straightforward because from who you choose in this character event war organization, it is not just a matter of I remove the 5 stars that are deemed not good, which I would argue, if you guys have not seen my Yanqing Zero Cycle, especially the last one, absolute cinema, check it out. But like at the end of the day, even if these 5-star standard units would be seen as maybe not too good, especially if you take a look at one of the consensus, which is, they are deemed as probably one of the most useless 5-star standards. So it's a very natural choice of players to remove them and add the potentially stronger, previously limited 5-star units into this standard pool collection. But the thing is, if you are a player like me, right? If you are if you're someone that just cursed, you have lost every single 50-50 in your miserable life for the past 2 years, and let's just say you got a E6 Yanqing. This particular scenario is where you should keep Yanqing within the standard pool selector, even though you don't need him specifically, because now you can actually obtain half a limited 5-star in the form of the silver companion spirit, because the current exchange rate is 2 silver for 1 gold and 1 gold for 1 limited 5-star, which I'm guessing you guys should be choosing. Nobody should be using like a limited 5-star, the gold thing for like your standard 5-stars, right? So because of this, if you already have a E6 unit, I will highly recommend for you guys to just keep them in the field, keep them in the roster, so that it will actually help you procure more of these silver tokens. And once you get 2, it would be a potential limited 5-star that's added to the pool. This could be Ruan Mei, Luocha, or it could even be, let's just say, Babin in the future. Jingliu, oh my god, and Jingliu is getting buffed. Blade, right? More blades. Okay, I don't think you will be choosing blade, but what if 3B gets added, right? So the potential for this is honestly very high as long as they keep developing this. So it is crucial that you don't immediately eliminate what is deemed as bad standard 5-stars, especially if you're someone that is close to, if not already at E6. So I'm talking about, it doesn't even have to be Yanqing. Any of these units, as long as they are close or at E6, you should be thinking about keeping them in the roster. So let's just say, for example, you have like all these units are E6 except for Bronya and Welt and Himiko. Statistically, if you don't care about these units that much, you should be keeping the other standard 5-stars so that you can get these silver tokens for what is potentially more impactful to your account, aside from, let's just say, a E6 Himiko. I'm sure E6 Himiko, E6 or E6 Bronya, they look really good, but let's just be honest, at the end of the day, these standard units, most likely they don't really see the light of day anymore, right? When was the last time you guys remember Bronya? Oh wait, Mimi came out. I'm not even going to be picking Bronya for my free-to-play account because Mimi is just absolutely him, and I would just rather pick up Bob, right? So at the end of the day, you're not really competing your standard 5-stars with one another. You're competing these standard 5-stars for a potential Ruan Mei. You're competing these for a potential upgrade that is going to be added to the shop in the future, right? Don't think of it as I'm going to be improving my standard 5-stars. Think of it as, okay, if I eventually get E6 from playing this game long enough, you can actually convert them into what is potentially more impactful in the remaining of his life, especially if they keep updating the shop. So hopefully, I hope that this video makes sense to you. TLDR, keep the selection on your standard units that is close to, or if not already at E6. And aside from that, you want to pick up like your Scylla, your Blade of Fuquan, sure, go for it, because I mean, technically they are going to be at least stronger than your standard 5-stars, right? Aside from that, if you want to choose Ruan Mei or Luocha, I would say it is better to see if your roster, your account HSR already has the units to make them into a stronger team. If not, just save the tokens, right? There's no expiry date, there's no like, you have to choose now. Just save it up and see what else happens, because this is the first time it has been implemented into HSR system. So going forward into more and more updates, we'll see how this plays out, and there's no loss, right? There's no harm in waiting. So hopefully this video did a little bit of a help. Word of the day is going to be Swift Soup. Join Twitch, join YouTube, join Discord, join Twitter, all the rest. See you guys next time.